Okay, hello. I just want to say one happy Halloween. This is coming out on October 31st. So happy Halloween, everybody. All right, so this one I am just like so fired up and needed to immediately go record this episode because this is something I have gone through with multiple of my clients in this one week, and it was a mind-blowing moment for them as we like broke through this barrier of a perspective that just like literally was a glass shattering moment. So if you are saying to yourself, I know what to do and I don't do it, like I feel like this is ultimately what everyone comes to me for when it comes to my clients, and just like everyone I've spoken to, it's like we all have this like innate belief of like I know I've taken the courses, I've read the books, I've done all the things, like I have taken the courses and I've done the learning, but it's like, but at the end of the day, like I'm still not taking the action, and I'm still not applying, or I'm not, I'm not leading into my goal, and I'm not doing the things that are leading me to the life that I desire. And when we get so wrapped up in that, it adds into this spiral of like, I suck. I keep doing this to myself, like essentially saying, like, I give up and then I come back and then I do the same things that didn't work. And then it's like this cycle. And then we're just like, oh, like, how do I get out of this? Oh, I'm going to go learn more. And then when I learn more, then I'll know how to do better. But then it's like, how do you know how to do better if you didn't even give yourself the space to just do it and continue to do it? Right. And it's like, you're already telling yourself that you're not doing it well or good enough. And that is then derailing you in this whole process and allowing you to really stay caught up and stuck in this whole idea of, I know what to do, but I'm just not doing it. And I feel like this is something that is like at the core of like anyone going on like their own healing journey, like figuring out like who the heck they are and like where they want to go. And it's like, okay, I've done the steps to figure out like what that is and what that means for me. And then it's like, we just stop. And then it's like, how the heck do I get there? Oh my gosh, now I'm overwhelmed with how to get there. Oh my gosh, this seems like way too much. It seems so hard, and all of these things. So, if you're feeling any of this and you're like, "Oh, Sonia, like I am doing the dishes right now, but you just totally called me out," or like I'm in the shower and damn, that really hits hard. And just like if you're on a walk, like let's all just take a minute to like take a deep breath in. Ooh, I also need that because I'm just so fired up. This is such a massive topic. So let's get into it. One of the biggest things about this topic is that we make a plan. We learn some new things, and we either create a plan, learn something new, or set ourselves up. But then it's like the doing part is just like, oh my gosh. And let's dive into it. So, a lot of the time, whenever we do these things, there's certain thoughts, actually, not a lot of the time, it's every time, guys. This is the essence of your healing journey and figuring yourself out, is that whatever you are not doing, whatever actions you are not taking, are being dictated by the thoughts and feelings that you have. So, one, just let that sink in. And two, start catching the thoughts that you're having. Allow yourself to pause in a moment of inaction and be like, okay, what thought did I just have? And what feeling do I currently have in my body? Because those are the reasons why I am not taking the action right now. And I have to become more aware of that to know how to move forward. So, one, check those thoughts out. And that is ultimately always going to be the number one step, is building your awareness with your thought patterns. Okay. And so this week in Redefine to Realign in my group program, it was week 3 and we're talking all about procrastination. And this one just like, oh, it just hit home for so many, because it was like, they're sharing that, oh, there's so many tasks on my list. There's so many goals I have. And similar with my one-on-one client this week, we talked a lot about, they have so many goals and so many ideas and so many plans, and then they just don't end up doing any of them. And then dwell on the fact that they didn't do it, and then feel frustrated and beat themselves up after. And then this cycle continues. And so one of the biggest things is like, let's look at the thoughts that are happening here. So, one, the thoughts that literally my clients shared were, I don't know enough to make a smart plan, or even if I put in the work to know the things, I don't have the willpower to execute it. I'm not the kind of person to eat healthy and exercise. It's a waste of time and money because I know I won't do it. Or I can't do this, or I'm not capable, or I've never been able to do this before. So why bother? If you are having any of these thoughts too, one, you're human. This is literally, you are not alone in this. We all have these feelings and thoughts. And this comes up so often. And so I want to just like validate this for you guys in this moment and say it's okay to have these thoughts. It's how you choose to respond to them. And that's what leads into the feelings you have and the actions that you take. Okay. So let's dive into these thoughts. I'm probably going to do a separate episode on growth versus fixed mindset, but I'm going to share it in this moment to nail this topic home. So, with all of these thoughts, these are the thoughts that I shared of like, oh, I'm not the kind of person to eat healthy and exercise, or it's a waste of time and money because I know I won't do it, or simply just saying I can't do it, or I'm not capable. Those are all thoughts from a fixed mindset. Fixed mindset is literally when you are believing that you can't change something about you. That's ultimately what a fixed mindset is. And when you believe that you can't change something, you're not going to be able to take the steps that you desire. And so the thing is, it's not that you actively, consciously know that this is a belief you have about yourself. You have just automatically attached these thoughts to who you are as a person, and you haven't questioned them. You haven't allowed yourself to catch them and be like, oh, like I didn't realize that like this is what I was saying about myself. And especially, when I'm working with my clients and I get them to answer these certain journal prompts, and then they write these things down and we talk about it, and they're like, ugh, like it feels weird that I think this way about myself. Like the fact that I wrote this down and I'm saying it to you, like it feels uncomfortable and like wild to think that like this is what is coming up in my brain. And it's like, one, holy crap, the awareness you just built by doing that exercise. And two, a fixed mindset is where your growth stops. Fixed mindset is something where you say, I know I can't do it, immediately stops you from taking any action towards what you desire, because you're immediately believing that that is the way and that is just who you are, and you've attached this to your identity and who you are as a person, and that is what is keeping you stuck. So shifting yourself out of this fixed mindset is essentially allowing yourself to release from this idea that like you are this way, or I can't do this and I'm not capable. Allowing yourself to get curious when those thoughts come up and give yourself space to acknowledge that and realize. And then that is where like reframes come into mind of being like, okay, I see this thought. and detaching yourself from it, which is something called cognitive diffusion, something also for its own episode, and really allowing yourself to create supportive thoughts when these things come up. And that is a part of a growth mindset where you are allowing yourself to see that even though you have these thoughts and these feelings and have done certain actions in the past, you understand that you have the ability to change that today, right now. Anything that happened a minute ago and beyond is in the past, and you literally get to choose what the heck you do right now. As I'm speaking, you can make a different choice, and that is available to you. And with a fixed mindset, we don't think that there is that option. We've just, carved it into stone, being like, well, this is just who I am and that is it. And the story is written for me. And it's like, no, you get to flip that page and rewrite whatever the heck you want. So that's just like a tidbit of fixed mindset versus growth mindset. So if you are saying these thoughts to yourself, then really allowing yourself to catch it and be like, ooh, yeah, Sonia just said that quote. And now I'm realizing I did say that to myself like yesterday about this specific task. And it's like, oh, okay. How do you choose to see it going forward? You don't have to believe those thoughts. You don't have to have them as an automatic, yep, this is true, because your thoughts are not facts. You get to rewrite them. You get to choose how you respond to them. So that is like part one. But part two is really the next step is this is gonna be mind blowing. Okay. This is the part where I was like, ah. So I cannot tell you, like, this is just okay, I'm gonna stop. Anyway, this next part is going to blow your mind. And with this next part, I want you to, like, I don't know, buckle up. Like, if you're not really listening or fully listening, whatever, like, get your seatbelt ready and buckle up. When we say, I know what to do, but I don't do it, there is an attachment that we have associated with accountability, self accountability. We believe that we are supposed to just know how to do something right out the gate. Now, let me shatter this old perspective for you right here. When it comes to accountability, we grew up in a society in a way that we had to be accountable to everything external from us. Just think about that. When you're a little kid, you have to be accountable and listen to the rules of your household and listen to what your parents say and, like, follow the rules. And then you go into school and then you have to listen to your teachers and peers, and you're following suit and you're following these things. And then when you get into high school, it's like, oh well, I have specific assignments and deadlines and all these things, and it's like those once again are all external from you. And then you go into a job, and then in your job, you have a boss and big project deadlines, and you have somebody else dictating the actions that you do. Let that just sink in for a moment, because what I'm about to say is the shift here for you. You have had your entire life taught to you, shown to you, and what you've experienced, and basically grown up in a society that dictates your actions and tells you what to do. And so you have built this accountability to other people. You've built that skill over your entire lifetime. So just imagine you have, let's say, like I'm 32. For 32 years, I have built up all of these skills, and I was literally taught it, I was shown it, I experienced it, other people modeled it, of like taking after someone else and following deadlines and doing things and being accountable to other people. That is a skill, subconsciously, not like it was like outwardly said to me, but subconsciously, that was a skill that I learned and I mastered over the 32 years of my freaking life. And now here we are on a self-healing journey, and we're doing our own development and we want to make changes in our life, and we're like, okay, let's like I hope you can hear my hands. Let's get this started. And you start and you take little steps and maybe you get things going, but then you fall off track and you're like, oh, okay, like I don't know what I'm doing. And like we keep having this struggle of being accountable to ourselves. And we beat ourselves up for the fact that we can't just do it. Like, just go do it. Just be accountable. Just figure out my own thing. Just do the workout. Just eat healthy. Just make that plan. Just do that thing. And we're like, we get so caught up in like, what the heck am I doing? And why can't I do it? And I say this from like, oh my gosh, like this perspective shift was so massive for me because I very much was that person as well, where I'm just like, I would beat myself up for the fact that I felt like I always needed an external thing to get me to do something. Like I felt like I would never initiate a thing unless someone else told me to do it. And then I got mad at myself for being like, oh, why can't I just do it myself? And here's the massive truth: you're a baby when it comes to this brand new skill of self accountability. And I say you're a baby because I am telling you that you have been taught for the I'm 32, so like the past 32 years of my freaking life, I have been taught to be accountable to other people. So I have mastered that skill. That feels easy, that feels comfortable, that feels safe. Like, tell me what to do, basically. Like, like if I have been going through that journey and I've experienced that, that was a skill that it's not necessarily natural, but it is natural now because I was going through all of these lessons in society and in my community and in school and in my job, that ultimately that was just the culture. That was just the nature of it. You follow suit with all these other people and abide by these things because everyone else is doing it. Accountability to others is a skill. So when I say that you are a baby when it comes to self accountability, you are. Think about this as a skill that you have not been taught. You haven't been taught it. So how the heck can you tell yourself like, oh, I'm supposed to just know what to do? And I feel like this goes with everything, not just accountability, but like if you're trying a new skill for the first time in your 30s or 50s, and you're just like, because you're an adult, you expect to just know how to do it well right out the gate. And this is like an element of perfectionism too, but it's like, you have to have that beginner's mindset. If there's something that you're doing that's like new and is going to be like a different change in your life, then you have to realize that it is a brand new mental skill that your brain has to get behind and learn and know what the heck this is and what it means. And so, one, I would just say, like, what does self accountability look like to you? Like, really define that for yourself. Like, how does it look like to show up for yourself? What is that? And two, as I've said, think about it like you are a baby. Like, if I just started doing this self accountability like yesterday, it's like, okay, I am literally a baby learning to crawl for the first time. And when I'm a baby, of course, I'm going to need support and things around me to understand what to do. So, like, of course, I'm going to need to lean into resources to figure out that and navigate that. So it sounds kind of counterintuitive because I'm talking about all about external accountability, but like when you're learning something new, it's okay to tap into your resources and have some external accountability as you process it and learn it on your own. AKA, like if you have a coach in your back pocket, cough, cough, you can have that objectivity and have that person there for you. And that's okay. In the beginning of doing something new, you're learning. And if you try to do it completely on your own, like when it's like cold turkey and you're like, I'm going to do this all by myself, you usually crash a lot faster and harder because you're like, well, what the heck? I failed and now I don't know what to do. You're lost because you're in your own world and you don't know how to navigate it without utilizing your other supports. So think about this as it is self accountability, doing things on your own terms and not having to abide by somebody else's deadline, and you get to create your own goals and your own vision and like build your own healthy habits. It is brand new for your brain that it needs to learn that skill over time. It's not like you're going to walk into a gym and lift the, like, I don't know, 200-pound weights on day one. And like, I gave this example to my client. Like, when you're learning to skate for the first time, you're not going to put on those skates and go right on the ice by yourself. You're going to hold, you're going to either have, one of those like, I don't know, not like a chair, like whatever you have to like hold you up, or have somebody there beside you holding your hand to practice this new skill of skating for the first time. You're not going to know what to do right out the gate. So really allowing yourself to understand this. And the thing is, when we tend to fall back, and I don't even want to say fall back, but because we're human and we are going to navigate this in our own ways and we are going to make mistakes. And there could be, quote unquote, failure along the way. And it's really how you choose to see it and what you believe about yourself in those circumstances. So this kind of goes back actually to the growth versus fixed mindset, where like, a fixed mindset is I failed, aka I suck and I'm not worthy and I don't know how to do this and I can't do this. If you look at failure in that way, you're in a fixed mindset and you're going to get caught up in that and stuck there. But a growth mindset is allowing yourself the opportunity to make mistakes and say, hey, I failed. That's okay. I'm human and I'm going to learn from this situation. Anytime you make mistakes from a growth perspective, you see those as opportunities. Anytime you have challenges, you see those as opportunities to learn from it. Life is an experiment, guys. Like, we're not meant to do it perfectly. We're meant to do it messy and in our own way and learn as we go. We don't have a checklist that's definitive, that's like, here's how my life is going to go out. And here's all the steps and here's all the big plan. Like, one thing can completely set the rest of that plan on fire. And if you were so fixated on that plan being like the be all end all, you gotta let that go. And life is meant to be lived, experienced, and testing the waters, right? Okay, now I feel like I'm going on a separate tangent. So that was all the things I wanted to share with you today that honestly blew my mind, blew my clients' minds. And it just like, these perspective shifts are just so empowering to be like, wow, okay, so I can see this from a new lens now and say, you know what? Being accountable to myself is a new skill that I am learning. And that skill and that learning is cognitive flexibility. It is a mindset tool, and it is a part of a massive transformation that you will have in your life over time if you really just allow yourself to notice your thoughts, build awareness around your thought patterns, the feelings that you have, and what behaviors you do because of that, and not shaming yourself for the way it comes out or what you end up doing or not doing, but having the courage to be like, you know what? It's scary to look at my mistakes in the face and be like, like I did something wrong here, or not even wrong, but like you just did something out of alignment with your values, and that's okay because you're human and you're learning. And it can be scary, but so, so worth it for the trajectory of how fast your growth can be when you allow yourself to look at those mistakes head on and be like, okay, where are there certain cracks here that I can improve? What certain things can I try differently next time? And what resources can I tap into to help me through this? I said to my client today, I was like, if she asked me, she's like, what would I do to build my accountability? And I was like, what do you think? And she was just like, yeah, the baby steps. And I was like, yeah, for sure, the baby steps, and it's like, I'm all about the baby steps. But then I added, I was like, um, it's okay to double up on the resources around you when you're navigating something new. So, yes, it's fine to have external accountability in the beginning, but just know that like you in the end of the day still have the power to choose what you decide to do. And when I say resources, I mean that could be, like I was explaining about how like I want to be able to eat more meals in the day. Sometimes I skip lunch and stuff. So I was like, for me, cooking or doing anything in the kitchen just feels like a lot. It feels overwhelming and I immediately just don't do it. So I was like, what can help me in this moment? And I buy salad kits. I buy the prepackaged or like TV dinners, and like I buy these things that yeah might not be like the healthiest but I was like, you know what, like it's allowing me to take those small steps to make sure I have the meals in my day. And that's okay. Like a lot of us kind of think like, oh well, I should just be able to do this by now. I should be able to cook myself meals during the day. I should be able to eat healthier. And a lot of the times we get into that mindset of all these shoulds and think that we should just know better by now. And then we rush ourselves and we throw ourselves into like all these big goals, all these big things. And then we immediately stop and don't continue with it and get overwhelmed because our thoughts are dictating all these things of like, oh, well, like I failed at this, so like I'm not going to be able to continue it, right? And it's like allowing yourself to see this and be like, like what resources can help me in the beginning stages? I mean, from a behavior analyst perspective, sometimes you have to add a lot of like environmental manipulations and antecedent strategies and cues and prompts and supports in the beginning to learn something that might be really hard to do. And then you systematically fade it when you have learned to master the skill in its own way over time. So that's why, like, sometimes you might have a coach for 3 or 6 months and have learned so much and really expanded in that time. And I say this sometimes too, like um I'm in a job where I work myself out of the job, which sounds very weird and counterintuitive, but it's like I want you to go on and live your life on your own and take the tools that we've worked on and go do it on your own and have that self autonomy, right? Like being able to be self-sufficient on your own and not be codependent. And I mean that this is a whole other layer. But I just wanted to share that is it's okay to double up on your resources, whether that's purchasing like a prepackaged plan of like 5 steps to do this, and you see how that goes. And hey, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, and that's okay. It's called experimenting with life. So I feel like that's all of the pieces I wanted to share today, but it was just like it's on my mind. I was working through this with my clients and I just was like, "Oh, this is going to hit home for so many." And I just had to share it with you all because this is going to change the trajectory of how you look at your goals, how you look at your daily habits, how you look at support for yourself. and how to navigate it. So that's what I have for you today. And I think I said this is probably going to be around 30 minutes. Or maybe I said that to my client. But anyway, this is all I have for you. Very much a raw and honest conversation that had to be said. And as I say every time, like if this hits home with you in any way, like, oh, like it just I live for this stuff. Message me on Instagram, like shoot me a DM, send me an email. And like if you're just like on the edge of being like, ooh, I am ready to support myself and understand where to go from here, it is okay to get that extra support. And if you are interested, like one-on-one coaching, it's at the link in my bio on Instagram. It's on my website, soniamccrimmon.com. Like, get the support you desire because you desire it. And there's no shame there. And that is what I have for you today. I love you all so freaking much. This podcast is just like my favorite thing. So shoot me a DM, even just to say hi. And yeah, I will talk with you guys next week.